another episode of the Unstable Brew, where we discuss all things not quite normal brewing up in our lives, this world, and maybe even beyond. I'm Taylor.
And I'm Charity.
Let's get brewing.
Yay! Oh my gosh.
I don't know why I'm so theatrical with the intro.
I love it though. It makes it happy and upbeat. And not like we're about to discuss, heartbreaking and traumatic things.
That we're not going to discuss on this episode. Don't give them that idea. It's stress.
Yeah. Life is stressful. The world's on fire.
See, now I really need the little blue star from the Mario movie.
Uh-huh.
I think it's like Lumina or something like that.
No, the yellow one that's stuck in the cage?
It's blue.
She's yellow.
No, she's blue.
She's yellow.
No, sweetie, she's blue.
Daniel put in a clip of her so we know. Anyways.
She's absolutely blue, and after we record this, I'm going to show you. Yes, she's blue. And I'm just going to let you know, Brandon's going to get onto you. Christina's probably going to get onto you. Marissa and Andrew might say
like
something.
She's yellow.
No.
A few moments later.
See? Aha! She's blue.
Approximately 10 hours later.
So let's see. We are now, it's Monday since we recorded this, which means if our listeners are keeping up to date, they should have listened to the previous week's episode that we recorded on Friday.
It's only been 3 days for us.
Have fun. And in that episode, I did specifically make a comment about shaming you about not setting up therapy.
I did it.
I'm so proud of you.
It's not going to be for like another week and a half because scheduling wise, it just did not work out to where I could see her before then. But I am set up to see her, and I will be asking her to see if I can set up reoccurring visits at least once a month. So that way it doesn't happen again to where I look up and it's been like 6 weeks since I've seen her and I'm having meltdowns every other day.
Oh, yay. Round of applause. We're proud of you, Charity.
Yay.
Just wanted to get that out of the way.
I'm doing a round of applause.
I see that. I'm so tired of you.
Yeah.
So that was it. I just wanted to give people an update that Charity did actually sign up for therapy. And then before we started recording, I got onto her about wanting to set up recurring therapy appointments because clearly her keeping up with it is not happening. And she decided to say that she plans on talking about it. So I'm proud of her.
Thank
we
you.
should all be proud of her for actually taking the step.
I get a blue star.
That's if you actually start attending these therapy appointments.
I attend them. It's making them that I struggle with.
I remember a year ago it was both. So we're making progress.
Progress. Slow but steady progress.
There is progress.
There we go. Oh my gosh. Speaking of therapy, I'm only slightly concerned that I'm pushing my child to a point where he might need therapy.
What have you done to Alex this time?
I enrolled him in soccer.
Oh no, that's normal childhood trauma.
That's normal trauma. It's fine. Like, typically he's very outgoing. Like, you've seen him at a playground. He finds any random child and he's like, "Hi, will you be my best friend?"
Yeah, he pretty much plays with anyone and everyone. He's not afraid to do that.
Exactly. Like, if there was any child that I would be concerned, like, I need to teach him stranger danger, it's my child because he doesn't care.
Can I burst your bubble with that statement?
I'm afraid.
Stranger danger is only like a small percentage of child abduction.
Oh, I know that. That's a whole nother topic that touches on trauma that I have. We're not going to discuss that.
Okay. I was like, you said that, and I'm like, I'm about to bust your bubble. Thank you, Criminal Minds, for that little tidbit.
Yeah. But it is still important to know.
It is. Okay, carry on.
But in regards to soccer, so because of this, I'm fully expecting this child to get to practice and see all these kids and see, them kicking around the balls, which he loves to play with them at home. So I'm like, he's going to show up and he's going to have a blast. And then suddenly it was like every fiber of being that he got from me suddenly came out in this poor little 4-year-old who just completely shrunk into himself and was terrified. It's like he had no idea what to do. He apparently, all these kids knew that they had to bring their own ball. There was no message saying that they had to bring their own ball. So Alex didn't have a ball. So he's looking around like, can I borrow your ball? Can we kick the ball together? And we're trying to tell him like, hey, why don't you ask this kid to play? Why don't you ask this kid to play? And he just looks so confused and so terrified. And I'm like, buddy, it's okay. And every time the coach would try to gather them all together and be like, all right, let's start with this next exercise, he would just look at me and like slowly scoot away from all the kids. And I'd have to go over there and kind of push him back towards the kids and be like, it's okay. Go to coach. Go to coach. He's here to help you. And he looks at him and says, which one's coach? The only adult standing around the bunch of little people. That's the coach. And he would go, no. And then we left and I was like, buddy, I'm sorry you didn't have fun. He goes, I had fun. I'm like, tell your face, baby. So that being said, we now have him a ball. We now have his little shin guards, and we have little practice nets at home. So we're playing at home a little bit to get him used to soccer. And we're hoping that his first game, which is Saturday, goes better than I am fully expecting it to.
What time is it on Saturday?
10 a.m. You want to come watch the horrific chaos that will be my child crying into the grass?
I mean, I'm kind of here for it. I already have to be up anyways because we're going to Greenville because I have a wax appointment. I love those things. For anyone who even cares to know what I'm referring to, because I'm not afraid to admit this. I get Brazilian waxes.
You the crazy one.
Once a month. It's great. It's amazing. I find it absolutely worth it. And the pain lessens when you actually keep up with the appointments.
Hey, your self-care is your self-care. So long as it relaxes you, that's what matters.
It makes me feel sexy. And then after that, we're going to go tour our first home.
Yay!
Now, this was just a spur of the moment Zillow request of like, and it's kind of cute if we're actually serious about this.
Is it the green one?
Yeah.
Yay.
We need to like actually start looking at houses that we find that we like on Zillow, because just because it looks nice on Zillow, we might see it in person and go, oh, this is not.
It also gives you a good idea of what certain square footages look like.
Well, so that was actually a good point of, I think you said something, I don't know. Y'all said something, I guess, about y'all's AC and just the square footage of the house that it's trying to like cool off, and it's like 1,500 square foot. Our house is like, that we're renting is like 12.
Yeah.
So I'm like, okay, I kind of have like an idea of sizing to expect kind of thing. I think if we look at a house that's 2,000 square feet, I'm going to be like, that seems a little much.
Our house is not even 2,000 square feet.
I like the size of y'all's house.
Yeah. It's about, it's 1,750, but I don't know if that includes the garage conversion.
I think it does.
A lot of square footage does not include garage count.
So I don't think they count garage count if it's a functioning garage. If it's been converted into like an actual part of the house, it has to.
I would assume so. So that's why I was like, I don't know if they redid it. Yeah,
it's living space.
So then I would say ours is about 1,750.
Okay, so yeah, I like the size of your house. But all of that to say, I will most likely be up. So yeah, I could totally come and see the chaos, and then I can mark off my one game out of the season. So
there you go. We can go and just watch the chaos ensue. Oh, the chaos.
Oh, this is going to be hilarious.
It's going to be so much fun. And you had your own little adventure last weekend. Would you like to tell everybody what you and your husband did?
Oh, I was was like, what the fuck are you referring to? What adventure? I was like, we didn't do anything.
The thing on your finger.
What?
What's on my finger?
I didn't know this was here. Sorry. So our little adventure is I went to go see my tattoo artist, Alora, in Dallas, to get one of my tattoos touched up real quick. And while I was there, I asked if they had any appointments following us. They said nope. And I went, do you want to fit in 2 quick little wedding band tattoos? They said yes. So Matt and I got wedding band tattoos.
And they're so gorgeous. And the line work that they do is my favorite. I was telling you this earlier. I don't think I could go to another tattoo artist just because the line work that they did on my wrist and my ankle, and the line work, especially on your finger, because it's such a delicate area and it's such a delicate line. It's so impressive. I mean, it's artwork within itself.
It was freehand, so no stencil was used for it whatsoever. They completely freehand and drew it out, kind of what they were envisioning, which that I've always wanted a freehand. I actually would love to get more of a bigger piece that's a freehand tattoo, because I think that one is even cooler, because it's like that's completely from their brain. Like they're going, okay, here's a quick little stencil, and then from there they fill it in at that point. Stencils, it's like all the little like more lined details, and then they go in and fill in is what I've noticed. So I would love a bigger freehand piece. Anywho, yeah, the line work is very delicate and nice, very, very straight. Like, it's impressive in the fact that they have only been tattooing for 2 years.
It's incredibly impressive. I'm super looking forward to them in like 10 and 20 years to see the progress, because it's going to be astounding. They're already so good. The longer they do it, it's just going to get better.
I'll appreciate the tattoos that we have. Because if you think about it, the tattoos that we got from them is when they were an apprentice.
Yeah.
So, like, we have, like, their apprentice level artwork on us. And so now we get to watch them through social media. And I've already told them, I was like, I have a dream. I want to get one of their flashes. One day when they post one of their flash sales, I'm going to pick one of those and go for it.
Do it.
That's not going to be cheap. It's going to be easily probably $600, $700, maybe even $800 piece. But to have like, this came from their brain and I get to put it on my body. Yes.
So if you're looking for a tattoo, where are they located now?
I know Valkyrie is in the name, and it's in downtown. It's in Dallas. And
their name is Alora.
You can find them on Instagram. I think it's Alora Borealis Inc. or something like that. I'm gonna have to post it whenever we actually do this. But their work is
just absolutely phenomenal. I could not highly recommend them more.
I absolutely recommend them. My goal, I would love to get like a really nice big piece from them that I can very proudly go like, yeah, this is my artist. Like I already have 3 pieces from them and I want more. And I also want to get pieces from other artists. Yeah. But like they're my go-to artist in Dallas. And
definitely.
It's kind of badass to sit there and go, I have a go-to artist in Dallas.
But before we move on, please just explain, first off, your specific ring, but then your husband's ring, because it's stupid adorable, and I need you to share this.
Okay, so I'm going to try my best to describe it for our listeners. That's really stupid hard to do. Mine isn't crazy complicated. It's just black ink, and I just had the artist freehand like an ivy to wrap around my finger, and then I actually have 3 little dots going down the middle, because 3 dots, just like 3 diamonds, it represents past, present, future. I originally wasn't going to add the 3 dots. The 3 dots was a last minute decision, and it's that way it can actually loosely tie into Matt's ring.
Yeah.
My ring wraps around my finger because with finger tattoos, they do fade the fastest, especially the underside. My OCD said I needed it connected.
Yup.
Matt does not have, his does not wrap around completely. It's a half ring. And he has 3 lines on each side. They're not connected whatsoever because in the middle of the 3 lines that go down his ring finger, he has 2 dots. He has a dot at the top, a dot at the bottom, and in the middle is a diamond shape. And inside that diamond is the only form of color. Well, when he thought of this idea, he thought of the past, present, future, and then he really wanted color. Well, his problem is my color tends to change.
Your favorite color?
Yeah, because like when we first got together, it was like kind of a lighter blue, and I kind of then went to like blues. It wasn't something specific, and now it's a dark green. So like my favorite color absolutely changes, but my eye color never does. So he got the diamond to be the color brown to match my eyes.
It's so stupid adorable. I love it and I hate it. I love it. But it's such a beautiful ring. They both are.
They're gorgeous.
And the fact that they're both just like completely from y'all's brains, and they're very unique, but they also tie in together. I just love.
It works for us because it's unique in the sense of it fits us personally, but then they loosely tie into like with the whole 3 dots of past, present, future, because I was like, well, it's both down the middle, so yeah, we'll make it make sense. But it's kind of one of those we're unique but we choose to be together type moment. So
I love it.
It's annoyingly cheesy, gay, and happy. Enjoy. I guess I like this person, you know.
You guess.
I guess.
He's your own personal golden retriever.
I love the man, okay? I can't imagine my life without him. I can't. I tried, and it's just like, no.
Nah.
It's not worth it. It's so not worth it. Good night alive. This time.
Do you want to be in the dating pool again?
Fuck no.
Absolutely not.
I've already heard the horror stories. I'm good. I got a good one right out the gate. No, thank you. All right, now that we've rambled on for way longer than we probably should have. Sorry, not sorry, Daniel. Let's actually get into today's episode. So in today's episode, we wanted to ask a big question, and that is, how do you manage stress? This world is hard at all ages and in all stages of life. Stress is constant. We want to discuss some ways that we have managed to kind of help manage our own stress, as well as possibly give some out-of-the-box ideas that might help you break free from your stressful lives.
Exactly. I mean, everyone's different. We all deal with different day-to-day lives. I'm a mom. I'm constantly working, as well as I'm a wife, so I have all of those responsibilities that are adding stress onto my plate. We also know people that are single, living the single lives. They have to figure out how to pay bills in this economy without multiple people in their household to help with that. You know, and you've got just everyday working professionals. You've got kids that are trying to figure out life as well as going into the workforce once they enter college and exit college. And there's just so many things that add on to our day-to-day stresses.
There's stress of little soccer practice for 4-year-olds.
Little soccer practice. Oh my gosh. There's just so much that piles up, and you add on health, you add on our economy, you add on our government is just insane, and it's a lot. And so there are just so many different ways that we each personally need to figure out how to handle and manage our stress, but also find time to do so, because we're living these crazy hectic lives. When do we actually find time to manage the stress?
So let me ask you this then. What do you do to manage your own stress?
I run.
Gross.
Yep. Well, I mean, I've always been a very athletic person. So I can remember even being in 6th grade, I was really, anxious about starting 6th grade. And the first day of school, I just decided I'm just going to go for a run, because it's 6:30 in the morning. I wasn't a runner. I was in 6th grade. I was like, I'm going to go run around the block a couple times. And my mom looked at me and she's like, oh, okay. And so I did, because I was so anxious and I was so wound up that running just seemed like the best way to do it. And I've just always kind of done that off and on throughout my whole life. It's just the best way for me to block everything else out and just focus on getting to the next mile point, getting to the next go point. And it really helps me to focus and block stuff out. But in a lot of ways, it can also be very unhealthy for me because I can use it to avoid everything else.
You also have had a tendency of self-destruction in the past, and we have learned that you were not using the best running techniques. And you were causing more harm than good. Now it seems this time around
I'm doing it right.
You're actually using it for a mental health.
Yes.
Like, I need to de-stress, and if I'm going to do this, I want to do this right.
Well, because I haven't been able to run much for the past 5 years. 5 years ago, I was running a 5K consistently. I wasn't, going out and doing races or anything, but I was doing it consistently around my neighborhood, and I was doing it really well. And then when I got pregnant with my son, I wasn't able to do it as much. And then after the fact, just life after life after life kept hitting.
I mean, you had your son during COVID, and then you moved from your first home into an apartment while you looked for another home, and then moved into another home while dealing with a now 1-year-old son. You went through a lot.
And then, my father passed and family, and it's been literally one thing after another for the past 5 years. Someone said the other day that as of December, it'll be 5 years since the start of 2020. 5 years since the start of the pandemic. And it's like a slap to the face.
So long ago, because when you think about it like that, at that point, I was going through stresses of, I had just lost my job. Mm-hmm. So then we were making it's the holidays, let's just go visit family, which was the best decision we ever made because it would be our last Thanksgiving we would have with a family member. Yeah. COVID happened while I was trying to find a job in Colorado. Jeez.
That's what I was saying. There is so much going on. That was 5 years ago.
So much happened.
It seems like a completely different lifetime, but at the same time, it feels like it should have been yesterday. It's bonkers to me.
I feel like I've experienced the most kind of growth that you could possibly experience in the past 5 years for us.
Yeah. Very much so.
Because when I look back on it, I look back and I think about young, dumb 20 me. And as I said before, back then, we were just bright-eyed, bushy-tailed idiots.
Yeah.
And then shit hit the fan. And now I look back and go, I was an idiot for doing that. Well, that's a lesson I'm having to learn. Well, I guess this is what I'm going to have to do to get out of that situation so I can better myself. Wow, I'm actually doing better. Yeah. I didn't think I'd be in this stage. What the hell is happening? Wait, mental health? That's a thing. It just...
It's crazy to think about everything that's happened over the past 5 years. So yeah, I mean, my physical capabilities over the past 5 years had diminished so much. I wasn't able to run, and I wasn't able to work out the way that I used to. I wasn't taking my physical health nearly as it wasn't as much of a factor in my life as it always had been beforehand. It had always been a number one thing for me, and I just kind of threw it out the door for those self-destructive tendencies, as we talked about. I figured, you know what, life's falling apart, might as well throw the body away too. And so now that I'm kind of actually taking my mental health more seriously, I'm looking at the things that used to help my mental health, as well as I'm trying to take my physical health a little bit more seriously, and I'm actually doing the right things to make sure that not only can I start running again, but can I do it consistently? Can I do it well? And within the past 48 hours, I have ran almost 6.25 miles in under a little around an hour and a half time total, which considerably, when you're looking at avid runners, is actually a long amount of time. but from where I started just 9 weeks ago is so much better than I could have ever imagined. And I'm very proud of myself. And I love your face right now because you're just like, oh my gosh, what are you doing? You're just imagining it like absolute no. See, but that's the crazy thing. But on how different people manage their stress. And for me, it's so freeing. It's so relaxing. It gets my endorphins up.
You know what? I'm proud of you.
And it throws my depression out the window, at least for a 30-minute time frame.
You know, I'm proud of you because you have been consistent with this. You have actually joined a few different groups. You've learned a lot more.
I'm studying the correct way to run, the correct shoes, all of it.
So I'm proud of you.
Thank you.
It's not my cup of tea.
No, it's not. So on that note, what is yours? Actual cup of tea. Please say actual cup of tea. Because also, yes, same.
In current state, I would say coloring. Coloring's kind of the biggest one.
You've been coloring off and on for a while.
So I kind of bounce around. I don't have one thing that I stick with because I'm a hobbyist. I think that's probably,
I love that about you.
The best way I can put it is I just enjoy picking up a variety of different hobbies and kind of being able to pick it up and put it back down. One of them is I decided that I was going to build a miniature library.
I love this so much.
So I've started it and I've put it down and I would like to pick it back up. Because that's actually, honestly, I had a lot of fun doing it. Was it making the tiny little books a pain in the ass? Yes, they were. Absolutely a pain in the ass. To try to describe to you what I had to do and how often I had to do this just to make the tiny little books. Oh, I'm not done. I'm not done. You then have to glue the tiny little paper books
I couldn't.
On the bookshelves and where they're supposed to be placed on the tiny little furniture that you made earlier. Yeah, none of this is put together. I'm putting this all together. It literally goes, here's the stuff you need. Here's the instructions. Good luck. And it's not even good, it's not like Lego instructions, okay? I have to go, okay, so I'm supposed to make this tiny little table. You're telling me A? So that's the bag that this is in. So I need to look in bag A. Okay, but this stuff is in bag D. I need to get this stuff out of bag. I have to find it. I had to make a chair. I had to full blown cut out the paper stencils that you would put on fabric and then cut out the fabric to then glue onto little pieces of wood that's already pre-cut, thank God. With actual little stuffing. I built a tiny fucking chair.
See, to me, this just sounds more stressful. My OCD, when I get really, really OCD on something, and I'm sitting there trying to make sure that it's right there. It's right there. I stop breathing. I have found that about myself. So the entire time I'd be doing this, I would just be like, breathe.
So
no, I can't.
I had to remind myself as I have worked on this, and I have to continue reminding myself, which I think has kind of added more to the fun to it now that I'm constantly. First off, I've never done this before. I literally bought a box that was $12 at Hobby Lobby to give this a shot. I went, we'll see. And I chose this particular box because I have to install lights, which means there's electricity. I could have gotten a smaller, less complicated one.
You did this to yourself.
I chose to go, that's the one I want to do. Let's go for it. But I've never done this before. And because I've never done this before, obviously I'm not going to be perfect at it. So it's okay that it's not perfect. Because honestly, if it's leaning a little bit or if the fabric's sticking up a little bit, first off, I'm using glue. that's a pain in the butt.
Yeah.
Again, never
and it
done
always
this before.
moves when you move your hand away, like it glides.
You have to do this over and over and over to kind of figure out the techniques. I can't tell you how many fucked up little tiny books there are before I finally figured out the folding technique.
Yeah.
Okay. It took trial and error before I finally went, I figured it out. I got it. Let's go.
There you go.
It took a minute. So, I choose to do very artistic hobbies as kind of my de-stressor.
But I love that about you because it shows how creative you are.
That's kind of what I do. Plants, that's another thing I'm trying to put my dabble at a little bit. So we'll see how that goes. So far, my babies that I put in water is doing better, especially after I got a tip from my dad.
What was that?
So I'm propagating for the first time ever, and my dad says make sure you change out the water at least once a month. As soon as I went, I
propagating
haven't done that.
is where you take a piece of another plant to grow a new plant, right?
Yeah, but you have to do it in water. You have to make it grow roots.
Yeah.
Because it doesn't thrive if it doesn't have roots. And so you're forcing it to grow roots.
So I did something that Taylor has begged me to not do for a while now.
I'm going to kidnap it and see what I can do.
I got a plant. It's the most pretty plant ever. It's one that I've actually wanted for a long time. It's a pathos, but it's purple and it's so pretty. And I have done my best. I'm following the instructions. I kept it in like slightly indirect sunlight, but I think it was too hot by that window. So I've now moved it. I have done my best to make sure that...
You moved it to where there's no sun.
It's doing better, okay? Because like when it was by the window, it suddenly got so soft and it was leaning, so I moved it away from to like another window. Yeah, and it's hardening up a little bit. I don't know. That's what... Don't give me that look. It seems like it's doing better.
We'll see.
I'm doing my best to follow the instructions. I want to be a plant mom so bad. It's just not working.
You know what? Who am I to judge? I cannot judge. The whole point of trying to be a plant parent is learning how to take care of it. And the only way you learn is through trial and error.
Exactly.
Trial and error.
I've had a lot of errors, so I should do well this time.
I was able to keep an orchid alive for over 1.5 years. Exactly.
There you go.
Charity, I don't think you could keep it alive more than 5 days.
Definitely not. Which is why I'm trying a pathos again. For the third time.
Oh my God. Okay.
Anywho, so all of this to be said, obviously like my running, especially when I'm doing like a 5K, the run itself takes about 45-ish minutes. I'm also stretching for like 15-ish minutes, and then you have the cool down and the shower and all that. It takes me a while. Mm-hmm. I'm very sure that the library is a very tedious task that takes a lot of focus, and it takes a lot of your time for a while.
It does.
Do you ever feel guilty for the amount of time that you're kind of taking for yourself to de-stress? Like, I mean... At least with, like, the library and some of your artistic stuff, it's stuff that you can do, like, around Matt.
Yeah.
But do you ever feel guilty for, like, taking that time for yourself instead of cleaning or doing stuff that needs to be done around the house or going grocery shopping or...
Younger me would have said yes.
Yeah.
Younger me would have said yes. Me now is saying I'm starting to learn how to be less guilty about it.
That's good.
That's the growth answer to say.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's someone who's working on their mental health. Like, oh
Maturity.
My gosh. Yay. No, younger me would have felt really guilty for putting stuff off just that way I could do a hobby.
Yeah.
Now that I'm older and I'm trying to take more responsibility of my actions and everything around me, I'm realizing that I need those moments to have to myself for me to de-stress. Because if I don't, then I look at everything and I either, like, I completely shut down or I kind of turn into a bitch a little bit. It's not fun for anyone. And so having that time to myself has been really nice. It also kind of helps that I happen to also have a partner who already has his hobbies.
Yeah, y'all are both hobbyists, so that's very helpful.
He has never had a problem going, I'm going to go play video games, or I'm going to learn how to play the song on the guitar, or pick up 3D printing or theory craft on one of his tabletop miniature games that the rules have recently updated, so he wants to read up on it.
So, like, you can do your thing to de-stress and he can do his.
Yeah.
So it's very helpful. It's a very healthy household dynamic, to be honest. Not a lot of people have that.
No, and honestly, he has said that he would like for us to have more hobbies together, and we have tried, and we have found things that we enjoy doing together. Like, we like couch co-op games.
Yeah.
I think we'd play more video games if I didn't have my simulator sickness, but that kind of deters me from a lot of stuff. But you'll also
do like Lego building and things like that.
We do build Lego together for Christmas. That's kind of our thing. It's a joint activity that we kind of take the time to do. Like, we'll plan out when we do it.
Which is so cute.
Like, I'm pretty sure our last Lego set sat unopened for close to a month before I was like, let's go. Yeah, I want to build this. And we didn't even finish it until probably a couple months ago. It was only like the last little thing. There wasn't much left. But you get
very detailed Legos, so they're supposed to take a while.
We purposefully drag it on. Yeah. We want it to take its time.
Yeah.
So we do find stuff that we do together. So I guess I'm learning to not feel as guilty because I'm in a lucky enough situation to where I have a partner who is very big into hobbies and heavily encourages hobbies of like, you need to find something for you to do. He's been hella supportive of this podcast. So
heck yes.
For someone who doesn't listen, he's like, hey, it's a creative outlet for y'all. As long as you're having fun, he's been here for it.
And I will definitely say this time around, since we've come back from our hiatus, we're definitely seeming to have a lot more fun with it. And I think it helps that, we've given ourselves this grace period of starting recording a few weeks before we're actually beginning to release the episode. So it gives us more time to make the content, to actually get our rundowns together if we need to record a little bit later in the week, things like that. We're able to have more fun with it and not let it become something that stresses us out. Yeah.
That was a bad time.
Yeah. We're doing better.
We are doing better. So same question to you. Do you feel guilty about, now that you're taking the time, and we'll say running, that's your most recent thing. And I feel like as a mom and a wife, I can imagine you taking the time to go run, and everything about that could make you feel guilty. I could see it.
Yeah.
I can kind of also, not to throw anyone under the bus, it's more of like the tone, and I think that's more of you just trying to get used to the idea of asking, of whenever we've done bingo at Dad's house.
Yeah.
You going, you like poke Daniel, go, can I go for a run after this? And it's like a child asking their parent. And I feel like Daniel just looks at you and go, yes. Like, why are you asking me this?
Exactly. And it's kind of, I still do that. And it's something that I'm working on. I definitely do feel guilty sometimes because I know it's a very time-consuming hobby, especially as I'm getting more and more into distance running. I feel very guilty sometimes because, especially, this summer we've had a lot going on. We're constantly busy. His parents were moving. We've had family members moving. We had a lot of stuff going on at the house. We're trying to prepare for this garage sale. And I was like, I could be getting this organized, or I could be trying to make sure that our grocery list is done, or trying to get caught up on laundry. But instead, I'm getting up at 6:30 to go for a run, or I'm going out at 8:30 at night because it's finally cool enough to go for my run. And I'm like, but at the same time, I also, like you said, I realize that my mood is a lot better managed when I'm able to take that time for myself, when I'm able to take that time to when I'm running, I'm able to think about my day. I'm able to think about, okay, when I get back, I'm going to do X, Y, and Z and plan it out a little bit better rather than feeling consistently stressed of, oh, I need to get all this done, but I really wish I could be out running or doing something for myself.
Yeah.
So like you said, it's a growth thing that you kind of have to work towards on knowing that it's more beneficial for you to take that time for yourself than it is to consistently play the martyr and, you know, kind of step back and put your hobbies aside so that way you can take care of everything. It's not healthy to do that. And that's why I'm in therapy.
Well, and I was about to say, you realize that for us, and I'm sure for a lot of people who can understand where we're coming from, this is a learned behavior. Because I'm like, as you're talking, I'm like thinking about our parents and did they ever take the time for them to de-stress? And I'm just going, I have never once, I don't remember a time where my mother or my dad or my stepmom really took the time to do something for themselves.
My mom definitely didn't, but it's because my mom was the only breadwinner in the house because my dad was always sick. And so I think watching her constantly have to be the breadwinner, be the one to come home and still cook dinner, be the one to help us with all of our homework, be the one to keep up with the house.
To literally do everything.
Do everything and take care of my dad and take care of us.
She was practically...
I feel like maybe that's where I get it from because as I'm writing all of this down in our notes for the rundown for this show, I honestly thought to myself, I know that this is probably stemmed from some form of childhood trauma. And I don't know that I would necessarily call that trauma, but it is a learned behavior.
It is.
Of seeing a wife and mother have to take on all the responsibilities. And so now I feel like that's something that I have to do. And when I can't, or when I leave so that way Daniel now has to take care of our son for the next hour to 2 hours, I feel bad.
Guilty.
And I constantly apologize, or I feel like I have to ask his permission. And
he's over here thinking like, what?
Just go.
Just do your thing. Yeah. He's over here going, he's my kid too, you know.
Exactly. He's like, I'm not babysitting the kid. Like, yeah, I need to check in with him to make sure like we have nothing going on and that he's good.
That's a different form of communication.
Asking permission consistently to have my own hobby, feeling the need to do that is unhealthy. And that is something that I'm going to have to work through.
Yep, you're going to have to talk to your therapist about, because you mentioned the fact that you used your mom who did everything. No offense. And I know you know where I'm coming from, but your mom practically was a single mom.
Yeah.
With a roommate that she had to care for.
She was a hospice nurse.
I mean, there is no other way but to be very blunt about the dynamic. And so it was a
very unhealthy home dynamic.
No. And so it was most likely a learned behavior that you thought it was normal that you had to, as the wife and as the mother, take care of everything. And not used to having a partner who actually wants to take part in
But I think that's the sad thing too, is also knowing that it's not normal. Like logically, I know this is not normal. This is not what you should expect. And it's not what I do expect from my husband. I expect a partnership. But that subconscious part of my brain that learned how my mom was a mother, my mom was a wife, that's where my brain is like, this is how you should be, though.
And so I can throw in my aspect is a little bit different, because I grew up in a household where my mother and my stepdad did not do any form of house cleaning. I did all the chores. I did all the cooking. I did the dishes. I did the laundry. I was the live-in maid. I was the child labor free.
Yep.
And so because I did everything, I entered my adult life continuing with I have to do everything or else nothing gets done. If I don't do it, it doesn't get done.
Yep.
Because that's what I got used to.
And all that does is add to your stress load.
Correct. Versus having a partner who he will get to it. He's just a little bit slower about it. A good example is we have been doing really good about communicating about dishes because it stacked up, and I looked at it and went, that's stressful. And he went, let's tackle this a little bit at a time. In fact, let me start. And he actually started doing some of the dishes, and we actually took turns knocking out the dishes. But there was a small batch that was new. Mm-hmm. And he made the comment of, don't worry about these, I'll wash these. He forgot about them, and so I kind of reminded him. I was like, hey, don't forget you said you do the dishes in the sink. And he's like, thanks for reminding me, I forgot.
See, that's so healthy. And and I hear stories like that.
But let it be known, it has taken a long time. And I'm just, this is just now
I hear stories like that, and I'm like, you can do dishes in stages?
Yeah.
You don't have to stand there for 3 hours washing the dishes so they're all done at one time. That's where my OCD is like, no, you have to do it all at once. And that's why it gets so overwhelming. You can't do it in stages, people.
You can't.
Oh, my gosh.
If I had a dishwasher, I would be doing it all in one. Knowing that we don't have a dishwasher, I'm forced to do it in stages.
Yeah.
That's really what it is.
But so moving on to the next question. How does stress affect you if you don't take the time to manage it? I know that you kind of touched on it briefly. And I've seen you in this state, and it's scary. I love you, but it's scary.
I'll be blunt. I turn into a bitch. And the thing is I know I'm reaching that stage of stressfulness, and I hate that I reach that stage of stressfulness, but I have no other way to get rid of the stress. So then I turn into the stressed nice bitch. And so then it's like a whole other thing, because it's kind of like hey guys, we're going to be late. We should go. We're going to be late.
It's like you're trying as hard as you possibly can to still be nice, to still be polite, but the insides of you are screaming, for the love of God, get up.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
I feel that because I can get that way. It's definitely not my go-to, but I feel that on a personal level.
My go-to when I'm overly stressed is a very much aggressive emotional outburst. Mm-hmm. And that is very heavily stemmed from my childhood of when my mother and my stepdad would get into arguments. It would be very much emotionally charged type arguments. And then you go back to my mother, who would say such comments to me that if I had a particular tone in my voice, like if I talked a certain way that didn't align with her, she would make such comments as, and I know lots of people, I'm not the only one, folks. Do I need to smack that attitude off of you, or are you going to get rid of it?
Yep.
And I can't help going, I had an attitude? I didn't know I had an attitude.
Yeah.
Like my brain starts racking through of like, how did I
talk? What did I say? What did I do? I can remember my dad one time yelling at me because I was sniffling. He goes, blow your nose. And I'm like, I'm sorry.
So,
my gosh.
So I tend to have more of when I'm overly stressed, my emotional regulation goes completely out the door. Mm-hmm. And when I have reached that stage of I am completely overwhelmed by the amount of stress around me, and I have not communicated my degree of stress to the people that it matters the most, I could have stubbed my toe. My day is ruined, and I'm about to start scream and find every little thing I can pull from the dark crevices of my brain to throw at you, just that way you can be just in a shitty mood as me. It is very unhealthy, very unhealthy, and incredibly toxic. I will heavily admit that it is not it is not good, period.
But you recognize it and you admit it which already shows that you are doing 10 times better than your parents.
Oh, absolutely. It is very, I have honestly had those moments where I woke up, I was in a really bad mood, and I'm like, I'm in an awful mood. And I'm letting myself think these awful things, and I'm nitpicking every little wrong thing that Matt has done because he's my go-to target because he's the love of my life.
Yeah,
He's right
there.
I know, that's shitty of me to say. But like my brain,
the people you're comfortable with are the people that you're most likely to attack.
Correct. And so my brain goes through all of this, and I've started to kind of notice, I'm like, oh gosh, I feel myself spiraling. Why am I really upset? What has caused this? Mm-hmm. And then I should tell him, and it's sometimes it's not pretty. I'll sit there and it'll still be attitude-y, but I'll be like, I'm sorry, I'm really stressed and I can't really talk right now because right now I'm just on the verge that if you say something or we do something, it's just going to turn into an argument. I'm not in the mood to have an argument. If we're going to talk, it needs to be as adults. And it has taken a very long time to get to this point.
I am very proud of you.
In our partnership, first and foremost, it has taken a very long time and a heavy amount of self-reflection for me to start to recognize when I'm starting to get stressed and when I'm starting to hit my limit.
Yeah.
And then I can start communicating. I am just now getting to it, and I'm still very much in the very beginning stages of this, so that's where I'm at.
But I'm proud of you because you're going to therapy, you're recognizing the moments when you're getting to that point, and you're taking steps to remedy it.
It's not easy.
No, I know, because honestly, that is a lot of how my dad would respond, is he wasn't feeling good, so he didn't want anyone else in the house to feel good. He had a bad day, so everyone else in the house is going to have a bad day. I very much also have those tendencies. We call it the Gathright temper. Gathright is my maiden name, and that is, it's bad. And quite frankly, it's why I am on the anxiety medication that I'm on, the anxiety and depression medication, because I can go 3 days without it. And after 3 days, it's like a switch. And suddenly I can see all of those same tendencies coming out. Mm-hmm. And like you said, you stub your toe, your whole day is ruined. You want to punch the wall because it's the wall's fault that you stubbed your toe. And everything around you is wrong and it's everything else's fault. And it's really unhealthy. And it's not great. But that's why I'm on medication, but it's also why I'm in therapy.
I would say the last time I had a really big outburst is when we lived in TK, which is probably when we were at our most stressed. It was like right before we moved back.
Yeah.
Like probably within 6 months or so of us starting the whole moving back thing and me looking for a new job and stuff like that. I just got to the point where I was so overwhelmed and so stressed out that there was a day where I was home by myself. Matt was working because he worked a Monday through Friday job and I worked retail. So random hours. I don't remember what triggered it, but I think it was probably Alistair. Like one of the animals did something when I let them out that just set me off. And I was so angry about the world. I'm pretty sure anyone who drove by or walked by could hear me screaming at the top of my lungs. Yeah. I was just so full of rage at that point that the only thing I could do was just cry and scream.
Yeah.
That's when I knew. I was like, it is not healthy for us to be here. That was probably the lowest our mental health had ever been and the highest my stress had ever been.
Yeah. Well, I am glad that you're out of that area.
Me too. I'm much happier.
I mean, the good thing is, like, with my medication, I don't really have those outbursts anymore so long as I stay on my medication, which, thank God, it finally clicked. I cannot get off of it. And I have been very consistent about taking it. I don't think I've missed a day in months.
I'm proud of you.
Yeah. Because I can't do it. But even with, my medication, when those high points of stress happened like last week, I had a couple of mental breaks of, I cannot do the dishes one more time. I cannot sweep one more time because obviously we're not actually getting the house clean. It's just a continuous cycle. And for me, it just ended up, I would break down crying. but also I build up all of my tension from the stress, and because I'm balling it up and I'm balling it up, and I'm not even realizing I'm doing it. It's just a consistent, a little bit more every day of, once again, the trash isn't taken out. Once again, the dishes got piled up. And it just piles up. And the next thing I know, I've got a severe migraine. That anxiety is spiking up again because every time I walk throughout my house, I'm stepping on hair. Or I'm stepping on, there's more trash because the dog has gotten into the trash can. And then my depression spikes because I'm feeling like I'm not doing enough.
You're not doing enough.
I feel like a bad mom because the house isn't clean for my son. I feel like a bad wife because I'm not keeping up better, because that's a wife's job. And it's just, it piles up, which then causes me to have migraines. It causes me to have severe stomach problems. And it's just a terrible cycle of effects, which then causes my stress level to raise, and it just whirlpools.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I could, you mentioned all, I don't have the migraine issue, but I definitely will say when I hit the super stress point and I just look around my house, I'm like, I completely shut down.
You shut down.
Those are the days where you're going to catch me doom scrolling on my phone without a second thought. I don't have a kid to have to worry about, so therefore I can easily doom scroll. I have animals. I just let them out every so often and we're good to go. Yeah. Tolly's the only reason we let her out because she barks at us.
I end up just basically ignoring it, or I'll find ways to get out of the house. Like I'll just go window shopping places. Or I'll go over to my mom's house, so that way I don't have to even look at the dishes. I can go over to her house and she can cook me dinner, and it's not super healthy, but luckily I think I've reached a point where it doesn't happen nearly as often as it used to, which is good.
Let me ask, what are some ways that you have found to lessen or better manage some of your stress, and what advice could you give us moving forward?
Therapy. Honestly, like where I am now compared to where I was a year ago, which was roughly 6 months after my dad's death, it's immensely different.
I would agree.
And 110% it's because of therapy. Because she has helped me to realize a lot of my trigger points. And she's helped me to realize that 90% of it is out of my control. And when things aren't in your control, you just have to learn to let them be. They're going to happen. And you just kind of have to roll with the punches and find ways for you to deal with them, because all that you're in charge of is yourself, right? I'm not in charge of how my brother reacts to things. I'm not in charge of how my mom treats my brother compared to me. I'm not in charge of anything that happens in this life. But I am in charge of how I respond to it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's actually a really, really, really good, healthy way to look at life.
Exactly. And I can be a mature adult and I can talk about these things with these people. I can talk about it with my therapist. Sometimes I still avoid the problem and I run it off and try to avoid it. But also I run now. And a lot of that is from my therapist telling me that my medication does half the work. It balances out the chemicals in my brain to help me to be able to process things. But if I sit in a cave, like I do, 90% of the time, because my office has no windows, I rarely leave my house, then I'm going to continue to be depressed. I'm going to continue to feel like I am just a wife. I'm just a mom. I'm nothing else because I never leave my house. So she's like, you have to get out and at least walk. You have to find ways to connect with who you were before you were a wife and mom. All of these things will help you to reconnect with yourself and to let the stress go. And the more that you connect with yourself, the better you can handle stress.
Yep.
And I've really taken that to heart. So over the past year, I've started running more. I've started working outside of the house more. I might go with my husband to his office, or I might go to our local coffee shop and I'll work from there. I just find little things to do that get me out of the house and remind me that I am my own person too.
Yeah.
And it really, really helps. But 10 out of 10, I don't care who you are. I don't care how healthy your upbringing was. Therapy is beneficial. Period.
God, I love therapy.
Yeah. So what are some ways that you feel that you have lessened your stress over the years and manage it better? And how do you feel like you can manage it better going forward?
That's a funny question.
It's a chaotic question in some ways.
I mean, I am still learning how to manage my stress. I fucking don't have that shit under control. Because, I mean, I will say, you have medication, and that is helping you out a lot. You're starting to self-discover things that get you out of the house. I am not on medication, and I am choosing to raw dog life. I use that. Because I don't know. I just decided to go for it without any medication. I tried it.
You tried medication and it just never worked quite well for you?
Yeah, like I could see why people like it. It did work. It absolutely did. I just don't want to deal with the side effects, if I'm going to be honest.
I can understand that. Because they can be rough.
But some of the ways that I have learned how to manage stress is definitely therapy. Therapy has been great. I actually made a comment to my therapist this past session we had. And I was like, man, I was like, we really need to get back to like my whole like life journey thing. And I was like, because I feel like the last few sessions has just been me gossiping. That's all it is. And she was like, sometimes that's all you need for therapy.
Sometimes you just need a good venting session.
And that's what she said. And she proceeded to go, we've, congratulated you on you getting your certificate. You were able to talk out like work stuff because I was dealing with just organizational changes. And I was like, what does this mean? And now I'm like, I am happy.
Yeah.
I'm excited to see what's going to come of the future. So she's helped me process through stuff literally just by allowing me to gossip.
Which is good.
Which has been fantastic.
Talk therapy. That's what it's there for.
It has caused me to have a lot of self-realizations. In the most recent self-realization that I can add, that we can see, journaling?
Yes. Oh my gosh, I am a journal. I'm a journaler.
You love to journal. I have never really given it much of a try because first off, I look at journaling and go, oh, I gotta write in that thing every single day. That's gonna be a chore. So
you just write when you feel it.
Correct. And I have recently come to the realization about myself that apparently writing is a really good outlet for me. So we're going to see how journaling goes if one, I even do it, and if two, I keep up with it. Because my thought is, how it's supposed to be with journaling is anytime, and I've done this twice now. There have been a few times where I've had these thoughts that I'm like, man, if I was in this situation, if I could go back, I would rather do this. I want to say this. I want to blah, 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 blah. And 9 times out of 10, when you think these thoughts, it's usually your knee-jerk, emotional, angry-filled reaction.
Yeah.
But when I write out all of my angry words that I want to say, I feel better.
Yeah.
And then I don't want to say this
anymore. It's therapeutic. Sometimes you need to get it out so that way it's out of your system. It's out of your bloodstream. That rage has left your body. But you don't necessarily have to actually say it. You don't necessarily have to actually do it.
It doesn't have to go anywhere. Something else that I will always be a huge advocate for, use your PTO days.
Oh my gosh, yes. Please, people. You don't have to be sick to take a day off of work.
No. There's been several times where Matt has asked me if he wasn't feeling it, and he's like, could I not go into work? And I looked at him and was like, why are you asking me? It's your PTO days. Just know.
Just do it.
When you're out of PTO, you're out of PTO.
Yeah.
You just don't get paid.
My husband is the absolute worst at this. He does not know how to take a day off. He does not know how to relax. Literally, if he takes a day off, he uses it going to work. Like he'll find things to do at the church and he'll work at the church. He'll find a project to do and he'll work on that. And it's never like, a hobby. It's always like something to do with work. He does not know how to stop.
I'm about to call him out.
Do it.
I'm about to call him out hard.
Do it.
He literally does not know how to relax to the point that his body forces him to relax by making him so sick that he has no choice but to essentially sleep for 24 hours straight before he starts to feel better because he just doesn't know how to stop.
I love you, Daniel. But we all know that it's true.
He may or may not leave that in. He might take it out. Who knows?
Who knows?
Who knows? But he's a prime example of someone who is constantly stressed and doesn't know how to manage that stress.
But a lot of that also comes from those own personal battles of he feels like he needs to be providing. He feels like he needs to be doing something. And that it's not healthy.
This is where he's found his worth.
Exactly.
But it plays such a huge effect on just your mental and your physical health. It's why I'm a huge advocate of take your PTO days.
Yes.
Your manager, your boss doesn't need to know why.
You don't have to give a reason.
It's have to give a
personal time off. When they ask why, I say, I need a personal day. When they ask why, I say, it's personal.
You do not have to give a reason. So I'm a huge advocate. If you have PTO days, use those bitches.
Yes.
My goal is to always end the year by not having any PTO left.
I either choose to not have any or I only have enough that they roll over to the next year.
So I was about to say, I currently don't have a situation where my PTO rolls over. So I either use it or lose it. If you're in a use it or lose it situation,
use it.
Use it. If it rolls over, do with it as you will.
I get so many hours that roll over, and I think last year they gave us a ridiculous amount. It was like 56 hours or something like that. Yeah, I was shocked. And they were like, yeah, if you have this much, just roll it over. But typically they give us about 30, which is still a lot for most companies. Most companies only give you like 16. But ours will give us like 36, 32, I think is what it is.
We have 2 weeks of PTO. We get 2 weeks of PTO, so that's 10 days.
I don't know how many days we have throughout the year, but that's how many that we get to roll over.
Oh no, we don't have to roll over. Right now they just started it. That's the thing though, is I work for a company that is actively growing and changing. Yeah. So like just because the policy is this now, it could end up changing down the line. But in current state, the policy is 10 days of PTO once you've been there for like 5 years. Then you get like 15 days of PTO, and then it's 18 and so on. That's how they're currently doing that. I personally hate that crap. I would prefer to be able to accrue my PTO. But that's a personal thing. But use it. If you got it, use it.
Yes.
That's all I'm saying. If you got it, fucking use it. Everyone needs a mental health day, even kiddos. If I have a kiddo and they're like, and I can tell that they're starting to like stress out or something, I will absolutely be that parent. Goes, do you need a mental health day?
Yeah.
Do you want to stay home?
It's okay to give your children mental health days. If they are completely stressed out, so long as, you know, like they're caught up on stuff, there's nothing major going on, like a major test or something like that. So long as all of that's taken care of, if they need that day, give them that day.
Because here's the thing. You and I have been talking about how we manage our stress. We have never once touched on the fact that even toddlers, children,
they get stressed.
Teenagers, they have their own form of stress too.
And parents so often, adults so often look at these kids and they're like, you're a child. What do you have to be stressed about? They have everything to be stressed out. They're growing. They're going through puberty. They're discovering themselves. They still have to do, you know, schoolwork and everything.
Their version of stress is Sally's angry at me and I don't know why.
Yes. Like, they're learning how to communicate. As an adult, we should still know that's complicated.
I mean, well, I'm throwing people under the bus all this time. We'll throw Alex under the bus. He's 4.
He was stressed at soccer, okay?
And he is the most interactive, extroverted child I've ever seen anywhere else. But apparently, soccer practice currently stresses this kid out.
Highly stresses him out. I really hope he has a better time when we go back on Thursday. We'll see.
But like apparently even a 4-year-old is getting stressed out because of soccer practice. It's the biggest thing I could say is, as a parent or as an adult influence in a child's life, you can be a really good example of how to manage stress. If they can see you take those mental health days, if they can see you sit there and get super upset and then breathe it out and then
communicate it with your partner.
Children learn through examples.
Yes.
And we are the best examples for our children. So that's a great way, at least to kind of help younger generations on stress
100%.
management. Nowadays, therapy.
Therapy.
If you're an adult, therapy.
Therapy.
Therapy. I love therapy.
Everyone needs it.
They're going to be so tired of us hearing it.
I will shout it from the rooftops.
It's helped me out. So.
Yeah.
Well, we hope you guys enjoyed this episode. We've had a few, we've had our comeback episode. We've had my coming out episode. We've had adulting is hard episode. We've had some great episodes so far coming back. And then we decided to throw in stress. Because stress.
We've had a stressful year, okay?
It's been a stressful week.
We figured we'd talk about it.
It's been a stressful week.
It's Monday.
I was referring to the previous week.
That's true.
I still don't have AC as of this recording.
Taylor, that's not good.
Tomorrow will be an official week.
It was 108 degrees yesterday.
So, honestly, the hottest it's gotten in my house is 90 degrees. So it's not bad. It could be worse. It could be worse.
Anyways.
People are going, oh, no AC, that sucks. But they don't realize this week.
We're in Texas.
First off, Texas. And secondly, my landlord says we can't have window units in our house. So we currently have no window units.
I have so many words.
We are keeping the house cool by the power of ceiling fans and the AC fan just running to attempt to blow cool air. I'm afraid to see our electricity bill.
Oh my gosh.
It's going to be awful.
Well, if you have any questions regarding how we handle our stress or how you could possibly handle your stress better, talk to a mental health professional, because I am not one. Anyways, or if you have any, stress tips and tricks that you want to share them with us. You can share those with us at theunstableBrew@gmail.com. We promise to read all the emails that come through and share any that may fit into a future episode. And if you would like to share your story but remain anonymous, simply let us know and we will be sure to honor your request.
Hey. Additionally, if you ever want to share a story with us, simply to share it but not have it shared on a future episode, please feel free to do that as well. Simply let us know that the email is for venting purposes only and not to be shared on the show. We will respect your request because boundaries matter, people.
I love it.
Do you feel better now?
Yes, okay. I do. I was looking forward to it.
Okay.
If you would like to follow us on social media, we are available on Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, and X under The Unstable Brew. We will be often posting promo videos and extra fun content on these platforms.
And remember, we are available for your listening pleasure or displeasure on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. Please like, share, comment, download to your heart's content. Oh yeah, and we're on YouTube. Forget that shit.
Don't forget it. We are on YouTube.
Don't
tell your friends. We're on YouTube.
We are on YouTube. Okay. Carry on. We need to stop.
We'll be back next week with more unstable content.
Bye.